I propose a substitute motion. The substitute motion is to approve the revised MOU.
Excuse me. The substitute motion that you're making must be relative to the motion to refer. If you're substituting for a motion, you cannot change the germane to it.
Well, that's why I'm getting there. Well, I see your point. I'll withdraw my substitute motion and see what happens. And, we can discuss. But under discussion, then, when it's appropriate for me, I don't want to dominate on Mr. Dominguez's motion. So I'll wait for my comments on that.
So we need to have a discussion on refer back to for Dr. Dominguez's suggestion that we refer back to the staff. So this is under discussion. Yes, Dr. Dominguez.
Yes, Madam President. I believe staff's done a good job of following the instructions and the direction of the board with this amendment. I think it's perfect. However, my motion to refer back to staff really is an attempt for other people to try to find another alternative. Is really why I'm doing this. And of course, you got to understand at some point we got to make a decision. So we're gonna. My intent is to, Bob. There's mentioned that maybe Bob Filner could help us out. We're going to allow some folks to offer a suitable option for our students. If that can't be found, then we're going to have to proceed with the amendment to the contract.
Any other discussion?
Thank you. What I want to go back to once again is that the motion is being for referring the amendment back to staff. Then what comes back to us is going to be the amendment. If at the time that we go ahead and we vote, and let's assume that we go ahead and this board votes against the amendment, the contract, of my understanding, and I would defer to council, my understanding is that the only thing that would fail would be the amendment. We still have the contract that is still legitimate with the Blackwater. So in essence, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I just want to make clear with my mind that that is what we're doing. We have the amendment here that we are going to be voting. This is the contract. And when we come back, what we are asking is for the staff to look at the amendment again and for us to vote on the amendment. So when in fact, if it does go and we say yes, let's move forward with it, it becomes part of the contract. If the amendment fails, the contract, we are still obligated under the contract. That has not gone away. So that is my issue. And what it is that the fact that the amendment will go away does not mean that we have terminated the contract with Blackwater. I just want to make that very, very clear. Also, I want to go ahead and just say thank you, everyone, to coming. And I would also like to thank our congressman, my congressman, who represents me as well, because I'm a voter, longtime resident of this area. And I would like to say thank you for his comments and those of his staff. My only disappointment with that is that I wish that he would have come with a federal stimulus package check or specific commitments on how his office will secure federal funding for our community college during this very critical financial times. So that is what I wanted to go ahead and say to him. But it just concerns me, going back to the motion, it concerns me that we're not really sure as to whether we're dealing with the amendment, we're dealing with the contract. There's two different issues here, folks, so we need to address them in order for this district to move forward and deal with some of the serious issues that we have.
Yeah, my understanding though is that what we are doing is referring back to staff so that if we can find an alternative facility, that then the staff can come back and say we have an alternative and we can turn down the contract if that's our wish.
For the general counsel, please.
Well, right, the clarification, and I don't know if it was a question that Trustee Vitale was asking or making a statement, but the clarification that I'm seeking is, and goes to Trustee Salcido's point, that with the motion that is currently on the floor to refer back to staff, the agreement that will remain in effect is the original agreement. That's the one that was approved by the board back in March, I believe. The one, and that's what would be in effect without any of the revisions that were presented tonight. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I do want to make comments, but I don't. Again, I want to let everybody else speak before I take my.
Well, I would like to say that I am not in favor of referring it back to staff because I think that we have a responsibility to, as a board, to get on with our business at hand. And this is taking up a tremendous amount of time from other business that the board has to take care of immediately. We have many things on this agenda and other agendas that is imperative that we begin to look at other issues as well. This has taken up a tremendous amount of my time, my effort, my thoughts, and I'm sorry about Blackwater. I'm sorry about the things that happen with Blackwater, but that does not have to, as far as I'm concerned, does not have anything to do with the course that we are offering at this school. And I'm determined to see that we offer the very best that we can. And Blackwater's facility is the very best in the nation that we have seen. And so I think that our police academy should have the very best that we could possibly have for a program. So I'm concerned about. I would like to move ahead with this. If we refrain from voting on this, it's just going to continue on and on and on. And like Mr. Lush said, he's going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And so he does, but at least we have to make a decision, and we have to stand tall on whatever decision we make. And so if we have an amendment that we are to vote on, and I would like us to vote on this amendment and these 6 items that we have, and let's move on one way or the other. Yes, Mr.
Trustee, do you just want to?
I would agree with Trustee Dominguez's motion to refer back to staff to see if we have any other
The referral back to staff really gets us back to where we were the last time and doesn't make any progress. And it eliminates all of the revisions that were made that brought the agreement to a workable point. I am impressed that Congressman Filner, and for that matter, Councilman Van Wessel, who represents Sandy City Council, representing South San Diego, which is in our district, that they are willing to step up to the plate. And I would, my thinking is that we should add a condition to whatever we do. First, I agree that we should not postpone or refer the agreement, so speaking against the motion. But in doing that, I do want to say that I would like to add to the board action, not just a wish, but as a part of the original motion, that we terminate the agreement as soon as Congressman Filner is able to give us the resources, and further that we establish a task force that would include the Congressman, Councilman Wessel, Southwestern College officials, the appropriate officials, and the San Diego Imperial Counties Community College Trustees Association to look into the possibilities of establishing a regional fire range that would be devoted exclusively to meeting the needs of the police academies. Southwestern College, and I believe Rosemont also has a police academy, because Miramar, San Diego City College, so that we do proceed with this on a regional basis as was proposed by a couple of the speakers. But on the motion on the table, I would speak against the referral for the moment.
Okay.
Call the question. So,
Okay.
parliamentarian, can I call the question?
You have to have approval of four.
Well, no, what's the process, parliamentarian?
The appropriate way to call a question is to do as you did call the question when you've been recognized by the chair. The chair now must take a vote of the members of the board to determine whether the question has been called.
Thank you.
Okay. I call for the question.
Well, I just did.
Oh, we need a second, I'm sorry.
Do we need a second? I didn't.
We need a second. Do we have a second?
Apparently not.
Okay, then it fails for a second, right?
Doesn't have a second.
So
Doesn't need a
we need to
second.
discuss.
So we just continue to discuss, right?
Yes.
All right, who would like to discuss?
I would also would vote against referring it back to staff. I think that staff has already done the research and has done extensive research. And my issue keeps coming back that if we go ahead and refer it back, we're not really dealing with the entire issue here. And we need to really go ahead and consider, and I do agree with Trustee Aguilar, that we need to go ahead and take a look at this. So if we're going to go ahead and take another look and see what alternatives we have, let's do it the right way. You know, we don't want to go ahead and keep on bringing the folks here in one way or another. You know, although we have differences of philosophical views, I also don't want to go ahead and keep on rehashing this over and over and over again, which is going to happen. Let's go ahead and go to the heart of it and deal with it so we can go ahead and move on instead of prolonging it even longer. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Edwards.
I would second Trustee Salcido if she asked to call the question so we can actually move forward.
Call for the question.
Second.
Okay. Please vote. We're voting for.
We're calling the question.
We're calling a voting question.
Yes, I'll be debated.
Yes,
Not
debate.
Are we calling for
I just wanted the board to be clear
what we're voting?
what you're voting on and what a yes vote means and what a no.
Yes.
Calling for the question. Please vote. Okay. All voting yes, except for Mr. Dominguez, Dr. Dominguez. Okay? So we're going back to the motion as well. Okay?
This is a motion to refer.
This is a motion to.
Right, that's
To
correct.
refer,
Yes.
right. So now we have to vote on the motion to refer. Okay? Please vote. Failed. So we're not moving for that.
I'd like to substitute, make a substitute motion, Madam Chair.
It goes back to, and just point of clarification, we go back to.
I'm sorry, we have a
the
point of order, we have a parliamentarian here for
Parliamentarian
the purpose of
goes
giving
back
us an
to what?
opinion. Trustee Salcido?
Okay?
I understand that. My question is that now we go back to the original motion.
Well, that's what the parliamentarian here is.
That's what I'm asking him. I'm asking him for a point of clarification.
Trustee Salcido was correct. The motion on the floor currently is to approve the amendments for the memorandum of understanding.
And I am proposing a substitute motion to that motion. And as I understand it, that's an appropriate action at this point, given the previous motion.
Mr. Parliamentarian, is that appropriate?
Make a substitute vote.
Yes.
The substitute motion is to approve the revised agreement as presented tonight, and also to direct the President Chopin to establish a task force to develop a regional, to look into the possibilities of developing, constructing a regional firing range for the use of all community colleges that have a police academy or like requirements in the curriculum for qualifying firearms, and that we continue with the revised agreement pending the completion of such a firing range.
Madam President,
Yes.
the motion that was agendized and that the public had notice of was rather limited. The reason why we're supposed to give advance notice on the agenda is so that the public has notice, has a right to participate, has the right that many of these individuals have expressed today and shown up to express themselves. With all due respect, without commenting at all, Trustee Aguilar, on the merits of the motion you're making, it does seem to be, from a Brown Act perspective, not a parliamentarian perspective, from a Brown Act perspective, it seems to be, it is beyond the scope of the motion, the action item that was published in the agenda. I don't know if there's a parliamentary counterpart to that, but that's the Brown Act perspective.
Mr. Parliamentarian, is that correct? Is there any?
In accordance with the Brown Act, that is correct.
So
I'm
therefore-
sorry, because I just went through a workshop on the Brown Act, and I think I have. Not taking issue, but is there, what about the motion that makes it, takes it beyond the notification? Because as I understand it, the Brown Act only requires a general description of the action that's being proposed.
Essentially, you're asking for the creation of a task force, a committee that would be subject to the Brown Act, which is an action item that with all due respect, sir, I believe under the Brown Act, the public is entitled to advance notice of it. It's not necessarily a tweak or an amendment to the action items that's on the agenda. In my view, I think it goes too far.
Okay, well, I'll have to accept it sincerely, counsel, for the board, and in that case, I withdraw my motion, but in doing that, I would ask that an agenda item be posted for the June meeting, so that this board can take up the topic of directing the president superintendent in establishing a task force to develop regional facility that would enable community college students or any post-secondary education
Then you can ask that during the time when we give, when the board gives our request for items to be added.
Well, since there isn't any specific item that board members can ask for board agenda items, and it relates, no, just ask for reports. It doesn't specifically state that that's when board members can ask for agenda items. So I just want to make it clear that this is something that it rises out of here, and that's what I would point to the class.
Point of clarification, is that a motion that is being made by me we originally were setting up, moving on another motion. Is that another motion that is being put on the floor? I'm not exactly sure where we're at right now.
I think
Well, let me restate.
clarification.
No, let me restate it. I said that I would withdraw my motion.
Okay.
And therefore, and in doing that, if you would listen, please, until I finish, that in withdrawing my motion, I'm expressing my desire to have an agenda item placed on the future, in the June court agenda, so that we don't run afoul of the Brown Act as articulated by our general counsel.
And I think for clarity and just streamlining this action item. Perhaps trustee Aguilar's suggestion about the agenda item is better offered under item 22, where board members have the right to request information.
That's what I was trying to say. All right, so now, Mrs. Alfina?
No, I just need clarification. So are we back on reviewing, back to the agenda, the initial motion, or we're considering the amendment? Is that where we're at? Okay.
Action
Yes.
item.
So we are back in discussion now. Okay, thank you.
We're back in the item.
Madam President, back in
Yes,
discussion.
Dr. Dominguez.
Back to discussion. I think trustee Salcido's points are well taken. If we refer this back and were to reject it, we would still be stuck with the original contract. I clearly understand that. I want everybody to know, my voting public, that my intent was to perhaps gain some time where we could look at this and maybe find another solution. It doesn't appear that that was an idea that would work. So I need to say that I am going to vote for the item as it appears on the agenda, with the hope that trustee Aguilar's attempts to perhaps create a committee and his suggestion that maybe Mr. Filner can offer us another solution, at which time we can come back and take a look at this contract. But in the meantime, we cannot overlook the fact that our students need to proceed with their classes, and we have to offer them a solution, and this seems to be at this time the most viable one. But again, I reiterate, I'm doing this in the hope that we can go back and take a look to make sure that maybe there isn't something else we could do. With this in place, still look at that, and if something comes up, then we can bring this back for further consideration.
Mrs. Biden?
Yeah, and for the public record, I will be voting against the motion, primarily because I believe that, and hopefully there will be a task force that will be formed and try to come up with an agreement or an arrangement. But I just think that this organization, this company is too controversial and it has too much of a baggage to carry, and we should not have to put up with it.
I have been really, this has been really, really difficult for me, and I've gone from one side to the other, and I'm listening to everyone. And I acknowledge my colleagues' positions. I am also of the belief that this is taking way too much time for this district, for us to continue with this. Although the facilities are close by and it is cost effective for us to go ahead and have the facility there, I'm a strong supporter of the police academy as well as our recruits, and I hear the community's concerns. However, my position is that at this point in time, for me to go ahead and vote against the amendment that's before us, it takes us back to the original contract that stands. And if we had concerns about some of the language, that is done away with. So we go back to the original contract with the same concerns that were there from the very beginning. So it's like going back. The other is that I have a responsibility to our students that they are in a program at this point in time that they need to be able to use the facilities. And there is no other option at this point in time today that we can go ahead and refer our students to. I am a strong supporter that we definitely need to get out of the contract, that we need to be able to look at other options, that we need to be able to go ahead and come together with probably our community colleges partners, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. And we have to be very realistic about this. And so at this point in time, I'm not able to go ahead and take that step, just say no, because that means that it puts this district back to where we started. And I really think that we need to go ahead and take care of this, move forward. We got a huge, huge budgetary problem that is coming, and we need to deal with it, and we need to make sure that this district moves forward, and we do it in the most responsible way. I do not support this company. I don't know, I'm aware of their history, but I don't have any vested interest in them. And nor do I am doing this because I feel that there's pressure or there's, there's a lot of things that are going on. That's not the reason why I'm voting on it. I'm voting on this because we need to get moving. And for us to do anything else is just going back to the same thing where we originally started.
Provide students the best education possible. In this instance, it actually enables the students to complete a requirement of one of the most important programs for our community, and that is the law enforcement academy that we have, police academy. And more directly, that this action actually benefits students. And that's why I asked that staff present the information about the alternatives that were available to students to use other facilities. And as a practical matter, there are no other alternatives within a reasonable distance from Southwestern College that would not incur a substantial expense to individual students, never mind the institution. So on top of the fact that the students would be very much inconvenienced in having to travel significant distances to the one existing firing range that we may be able to get access to. And the third rationale is actually, I think, more ephemeral or maybe complicated, and that's basic due process. There have been a lot of allegations made about Z and their parent corporation, which I don't take issue with. But to date, and I've invited whoever contacted me and spoke to me about this issue to provide me any information as to any criminal indictments, charges, never mind convictions, that either Z or Blackwater had been subjected to as corporations. To date, I have received no such information, and no such information, credible information, has been presented here tonight. And I understand that the business plan for these organizations is not my favorite. In fact, I personally oppose the business plans. But it's not. I'm not here to make policy decisions on my personal, ideological, or political positions. I'm here to represent the best interest of first the students, and to promote the mission of this institution to provide the best education possible for our students at the most reasonable and most convenient, at the most reasonable prices and at the most convenient facilities. And this agreement, as revised, meets all these requirements, and I would therefore again support the motion to approve the revised agreement, and hope that we can move on to find a better solution. And when we do that, we can come back and terminate the current arrangement.
Okay, call for the vote, and if we're to approve the amendment of the memorandum of understanding, does everybody understand what we are approving at this point? Okay, all right, please vote. Okay, vote passes, all saying aye, but Lily. Now, at this point, I think we need a 5-minute break.